Yeah, he's here. Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to the Murfreesboro City Council regular meeting. Especially want to introduce the people who are out there. That was Melissa Wright, who was there. January, she has a red face now. So January 17th, 2019, Vice Mayor Madeline Scales Harris has our prayer and our pledge.
Throughout 2018, we've truly been blessed in Murfreesboro, and we hope God continues to bless us through 2019. And at this time, Mr. Greg Tucker would like to.
Let us bow and be thankful. Dear Lord, we are so thankful for yet another day that we can live in a free country, a country in which we are led and represented by those of our own choice. We're thankful for the many blessings that you've bestowed upon us. We're particularly thankful for the sacrifices that were made in order to ensure our freedoms, and we ask that those in harm's way for this purpose be given consideration and special protection. We ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Good evening, Mayor and Council members. This evening we are recognizing Chris Randolph, Golf Shop Manager for Old Fort Golf Club. Mr. Preston Wilkerson, a longtime resident of the city, nominated Chris for the Stars Award for representing the city in a positive light. On Monday, December 17th, while playing at Old Fort, Mr. Wilkerson experienced a sudden illness. He said he could only remember parts of what took place, but did remember Chris sitting beside him, giving him comfort and encouragement. He also said Chris had a defibrillator sitting beside him just in case it was needed. When the first responders and EMTs arrived, Chris gave them an update. After being transported to the hospital, Mr. Wilkerson underwent emergency surgery. The doctor said that if quick and decisive action had not been taken, there would have been major heart damage. Chris made sure Mr. Wilkerson's wife and son were notified and sent emails out to fellow players advising them of his status. Because of this, his family was able to arrive at the hospital on time when he underwent surgery. Chris called to check on Mr. Wilkerson after he was released and sent home. Because of Chris's quick response and actions, Mr. Wilkerson was able to make it home to celebrate Christmas with his family. The actions Chris took were above and beyond the call of duty. Mr. Wilkerson said, "I am thankful we live here because of people who make a difference." Chris, thank you for being dedicated and making such a positive difference in the lives of others. You are truly a star.
All right. Now we've got Mr. Greg Tucker. First time this year, right, Mr. Tucker?
Yeah, I think that's right. Thank you. Our discussion tonight relies upon this volume, which is entitled Laws of Murfreesboro, 1900. That is on loan to us from Jim Rich Roberts, one of our neighbors on East Main Street. 1900, of course, is what many of us refer to as right in the middle of the Victorian era, a time when things were done very properly, very courteously, a conservative period as we remember it. And one thing I recognize when I looked at the book is, well, generally you can tell how important something is in a compilation by how much ink they give to a particular topic, how many pages, how many words. And apparently in 1900 in Murfreesboro, the construction, maintenance of essential houses was a matter of major concern. Now, out in the country, we call them outhouses. But in the Victorian era in Murfreesboro, they were essential houses, and they specified the types, how they could be built, how they were to be maintained in order not to be a nuisance. And if you failed, you, the property owner, to meet the standards, you were subject to a fine of $5 a day for a continuing violation, a rather significant fine back in 1900. For repeat offenders, or those who still were delinquent in taking care of their essential house, the city had the authority to come in and demolish your essential house, which could be for the entire family rather inconvenient. So apparently they got a good bit of compliance. Gambling was regulated. They said there could be no gambling establishments or casinos in Murfreesboro. But generally gambling was permitted as long as it wasn't in a tavern where people were drinking, or an entertainment house where I guess they're having a good time, or a grocery store. I'm not sure what went on in grocery stores in 1900. Private gambling was wide open. You and your friends could get together and gamble, except on Sunday, unless everybody in the group would agree that you're gambling just for fun and amusement.
Monday.
Animals were generally permitted. You could keep your pig, your horse, your mule, your sheep, your whatever on your own property as long as you kept it confined, with one exception. The exception was cows. Cows didn't have to be confined. You could let them roam the city, except at night. But at night, if you would get out there with them and roam with them, that was okay too. Cows were treated special. One thing that there seemed to be very strong feelings about, there was a $20 fine, a major fine, for carrying a lighted candle into a stable. Any stable, public stable, private stable. You wonder how many times they burned parts of the town down before they came up with that. No candles in stables. No kite flying. $50 fine for flying a kite over the city. I suspect somebody got offended at something there. Pavement. Well, keep in mind that in 1900, the streets were not paved. They were graveled and drug in some instances, but not paved. So when they talk about pavement in the regulations here, they're talking about sidewalks. And apparently a network of sidewalks had recently been installed. And the city was very proud of its sidewalks and says nothing on the sidewalks except feet, no hooves, no wheels, nothing, with, again, a $1 to a $5 fine for any violation. One exception, baby carriages. You could push your baby on the sidewalk. Gun control wasn't overlooked. I'm not sure I understand entirely. The law says it's unlawful to carry a dirk, a razor, a sword cane, a loaded cane, a slingshot, brass knuckles, Spanish stiletto, belt, pocket pistol, or revolver for the purpose of going armed. So if you're shaving on the sidewalk, you're all right, but you can't carry the razor for the purpose of being armed. Anybody tell me what a dirk is? Beats me, but they're outlawed. You'll notice, though, that there's okay to carry a rifle, a shotgun, a spear, a bow and arrow, or even drag a cannon around town. There's no. How about the world's oldest profession? It was a misdemeanor in 1900, quoting, for any person to visit a house of prostitution or assignation, hadn't tried that, or any house where lewd women resort, live, or frequent between the hours of 5 a.m. and 8 p.m. In other words, during the daylight hours, can't go there. You can see at 7:45 lining up, watching their watches. A misdemeanor for any working woman to appear on the street unless she is engaged in a, quote, laudable business or occupation, such as keeping up with your cows. Bawdy houses were prohibited. That's defined in the statute. A bawdy house is anywhere where the clientele has a choice of one or of two or more. None of those. Accordingly, a professional working as a solo practitioner from her own home, receiving clientele only during the late evening and early morning hours, and not appearing in public for solicitation purposes, was completely within the law in 1900, assuming she didn't have a slingshot, a dirk, or a lighted candle.
Hey, and for what it's worth, a dirk is a long thrusting dagger. Historically, it was a personal weapon of officers engaged in naval hand-to-hand combat during the Age of Sail.
Very good. I'll see if that's added as a footnote. Thank you.
Please credit Google on that if you don't mind. Thank you, Mr. Tucker. All right, you have your consent agenda in front of you.
Mayor, I want to make one correction on the banners at the bottom. It's got May 1st through the 27th for item 10B. It should be May 17th through the 27th.
Okay. Can I get a motion for the consent agenda as amended? So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll move into old business and adopt of current editions ordinance 18071, second reading, building and codes.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Ms. Wright, call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Updates to City Ordinance 18070, Section 21 through 47, second reading. This is for Parks and Recreation.
So moved.
Second. Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We're moving to new business, and we have a zoning ordinance amendment pertaining to site plan authority for the Planning Commission. Mr. Anthony.
Good evening, everyone. The purpose of this amendment is to enhance staff's ability to administratively review site plans. Site plan review, whether conducted administratively or by the Planning Commission, is based on compliance with the standards that are set forth in the zoning ordinance and the design guidelines. In our presentation to the Planning Commission back on November 7th, we explained that we believe staff is fully equipped to review most site plans and apply those standards as they are written. If approved, this ordinance amendment would specify 3 thresholds for Planning Commission review. These are 1, projects in special areas where Planning Commission acts as a design review body, such as the Gateway Design Overlay. 2, multifamily residential projects in the RM12 and RM16 zoning districts. And 3, projects where off-site traffic, transportation, and/or drainage improvements are offered or required. Additionally, the planning director would have the discretion to send certain projects to the Planning Commission even if those projects would otherwise qualify for administrative approval. Those include projects for which the public interest would be better served by involving the Planning Commission, projects for which an applicant wishes to appeal a condition imposed by staff, and projects for which staff supports an alternative approach to one or more of the design guidelines. After reviewing this amendment at its November 7th meeting, the Planning Commission held a public hearing and then voted unanimously to send this forward to you with a favorable recommendation. Staff can answer any questions that you may have before or after the public hearing.
All right, we'll need to conduct a public hearing for this zone ordinance amendment. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, when you come to the podium, if you'll state your name, your address, you'll have 3 minutes if you're an individual. You'll have 5 minutes if you're representing a group. If you'll direct all comments to the council, any questions, we'll get those answered at the end of the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We'll consider for passage ordinance 18069.
Move for approval. Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to item 14, adoption of hotel motel occupancy tax increase, City of Ordinance 19001. First reading, administration. Mr. Tyndall.
This is an ordinance to increase the city's tax, hotel occupancy tax from 2.5 to 5%. 5% matches the current hotel occupancy tax that's imposed by the county. The purpose of the tax will be to continue supporting the convention or the Visitors Bureau, Visitor and Conventions Bureau, and to at the same rate that it is now supported. The money will also be dedicated towards increasing tourism for economic development projects that would increase tourism within the city. If you have any questions, happy to answer.
Do we have the authority to increase the taxes once we vote on it to increase? Does it have to go to the state in order to pass it?
It doesn't. We have statutory authority to go to 5%. It needs to pass by 2/3 vote of the council on 2 reads. So this would be the first read.
And once we approve, it does not?
Once we approve it, it would be effective on the effective dates of ordinances, which I believe is 15 days from
It doesn't have
second
to go
read.
before the state.
It doesn't have to go before the state, no.
In this case, it would be effective March 1st.
Right. We did set an effective date on this, proposed to be March 1st.
What would it, if we wanted to entertain the idea of delaying the implementation date, is that just as simple? Does it matter other than we just change the ordinance, or is there some other issue?
I think someone could just make a motion to amend the effective date here on the first reading if you wanted to change that. And then you could vote on, if the amendment passed, then you could vote on the amended ordinance on first reading, and then you would just move forward with that on the second reading.
Okay. Sorry, and there's no kind of public hearing for this, right?
No.
If we approve this, we won't be pricing ourselves out of the market or anything, will we?
Well, I won't pretend to be an expert in the hotel market, but I don't believe, based on the other rates that are in the area, the other costs of hotels that are in the area, there are other cities that have similar rates here, or very close to this rate in Tennessee and in Middle Tennessee. So we don't anticipate that it would. As I said, the money would be allocated towards increasing tourism, so we don't believe it would have a negative impact on tourism. In fact, our purpose is to increase hotel usage and visitors within the city.
Yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my mind around. I know last year, whenever I think we were named the sporting capital of the South, and if our hotel rates are too high, I can possibly see people traveling anywhere from 10 to 20 miles to get a better rate on a hotel and just, play the sports here but not stay here. That's why I said I didn't want us, by passing this, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm just saying that's something we need to consider. Are we going to price ourselves out of the market by doing this?
Well, if you assumed an average hotel room rate at $150 a night, the nightly difference for our increase is $3.75. So, I guess if a person was closely watching what they paid on taxes, they would have to measure $3.75 against the inconvenience and mileage cost, gas of traveling 10 or 20 miles outside the city.
I guess the whole point of this tax is to generate revenue so that we have increased funds available to us to support sports facilities, which we have always said that they pay for themselves, or they help generate revenue for the community and help offset the cost of our parks. And I'm going on recollection, but I think about 2 years ago we looked at this, and decided not to increase the tax when the county did increase it 2.5%. 2.5% on a $100 room would be $2.50, $150 room, $3.75. We're not talking about a significant amount of money per customer. Now, I understand from the hotel standpoint, if you do a cumulative of it, it starts to add up into a large amount of money. But we're also talking about the city is making the commitment to put in facilities very much like the TSSA soccer facility, where we are encouraged and told that it may generate as many as 20,000 rooms per year, which I'm assuming those 20,000 rooms are going to either be in Murfreesboro or Rutherford County. And if they're not, then we're not truly getting the benefit that we're being told that we would receive. But I think the fact that we had the opportunity 2 years ago and have put it off, and I know there's the understanding that perhaps they've already rented rooms 6 months out or something, so that there may be a situation where the hotel would be affected adversely because of the rooms already having been rented, that it would eat into their profit margin. And I don't know what the profit margin would be on if you rented 2,000 rooms, but I'd imagine it would be a pretty tight margin. So I understand, I think, where Rick's coming from on his concern. However, if we were to try and implement a property tax, which I'm opposed to, that would have in ultimately the same effect on the hotel, because they would be spending more money to operate their business in Murfreesboro. So this is more of a direct tax, I think, and when we continue to provide services, I think it's a directly related service to the hotels for us to continue to be the Rutherford County being the sports capital of the state of Tennessee. I do think that it's important that we attract people. I think it's important that we provide services that do bring those people to Murfreesboro, because we do know that tourism is a very positive effect on our community. And knowing that, I struggle with the idea that someone's going to stay 30 miles away to save $3.50. I don't foresee that happening. So I don't think it's going to have that adverse an effect. I didn't hear of any adverse effect at all that was conveyed to us when the county went from 2.5% to 5%. And really all we're doing is following their lead, although we would generate less revenue because we're only accumulating from the city as opposed to every city in the county. So I do think that this is a revenue stream that we do need to consider. I think it's something that there's an opportunity for us to generate some revenue and perhaps be able to hold off the talk of a property tax for a little bit longer. And so I will be voting in support of this.
I know we were asked a question, if approved, that we will hold off for 6 months?
January.
It was what? I didn't.
What are you saying?
January.
You said January.
To January?
Is it possible to do, to make sure that we want to honor what someone's priced something out, and I get that. I mean, I have in my business, I have to bid things that commodities go up, and I still have to honor what I quoted. But is there a way that we could put some kind of metric in that if we did raise it and someone had existing contracts, that they could just bring those in and show those, and then they would get a credit that that they wouldn't have to pay that on contracts that they already have in place for the fiscal year? Or would it make more sense to say we're going to make this with our budget year in July and not do it in January? That gives everyone 7 months that if they need, they can look and see how many room nights that they've booked, and if they need to increase to accommodate that, they got 7 months to be able to do it. And what is easier?
Well, part of the problem with that's going to be the contracts that I've seen, usually you're guaranteeing so many rooms. You may rent more rooms than you guarantee. You may rent less rooms than you guarantee. If you rent less, then you end up paying more to the hotel for the meeting room is usually what happens. So it'd be really hard to quantify that, I think, on our part, and we'd be doing it hotel by hotel. So, and then we'd be doing it every month until these contracts ended. But we'd really need to know how many rooms they rented for that event.
So do we know how many group hotel business that we're going to be losing by the impact of raising this? Because that's really what it all boils down to. It's not individual travel, it's group business. Because if the average room rate in Nashville is $300 to $400, they're going to come our way. Do we want to lose that business and let them go somewhere else?
Well, we could do economic studies on that. There's a lot of factors obviously involved on a hotel. As Councilmember Lance mentioned, that the county raised it, and we didn't hear of any appreciable difference. Now, there's been changes in the marketplace that have occurred out there that have indicated, or it does show the tax revenues for hotel occupancy tax are down somewhat over the year. But obviously it's this year, and it's been 2 years since the county raised the tax, so it doesn't equate that it would be necessarily related to that. If we did economic studies, I think there'd be so many assumptions and presumptions in there, it would be hard to really have any definitive answer for
Kurt, and I
that.
think the tough thing too, I was going back looking at the information Mr. Huber had given us based on their projections. But if you go back and look over the last 2 years, I think I counted up, looking back at Planning Commission, I think we've had 4 or 5 hotels that have been built in that same period. So is it because the quantity? I think there's 40. When we made our presentation, I think there's 4,800 rooms in Rutherford County. There's going to be 5,300 at the end of this year. With new hotels that are under construction. So, is it that there's a bigger
I'm not saying
now?
I'm against it. I just want us to look at all options.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key right here is, regardless of what we do moving forward, we got to do what's best for Murfreesboro, but we also got to look and see what's best. We got to leave everything on the table and see what's our best option. And the other thing, let me ask you this. We keep talking about these 20,000 room nights. Are those 20,000 room nights guaranteed?
No, they aren't. That's a projection by the TSSA.
So if they come in at 10,000, is there any stipulation where they owe us money or anything tied into that?
No, we did our economic analysis assuming about 10,000 room nights. So we didn't take their number at face value. So that's how we, and that's typical. I'm not disparaging the TSSA's estimate in any respect, but when we did our economic analysis on that, we used half of what they had assumed to come in. Some of that
20 to 20 is actually 10. Is that what you're saying?
Well, when we did our economic analysis to make sure that the project itself would be viable, so that's how we did it. If we get 20,000 room nights, fine. We do have some data on what tournaments that are in here now, and the projections weren't too far off. So the 20,000 room nights appear to be viable, and whether they're all in Murfreesboro or whether some are in Smyrna and surrounding communities is another question, is where the 20,000 room nights actually go. I will say this though, on some of the information that we got from the hotel associations, if we take if we assume $150 a room for 200 rooms for 3 nights, the difference between that type of package right now on the current tax rate and our new proposed tax rate is about $2,250. And so, the entire package is $90,000. It's a little more than $2,000 is really the difference in those two. So, I guess the question is, would somebody who wants to come, and they're coming here because we are geographically unique, we're in the middle of Tennessee, which is a big attraction, would they change their place where they go and cause their memberships to perhaps go 3 or 4 more hours distant for $2,000? It's hard to imagine.
And this is not going to answer all for the city's financial woes. I mean, it's $1.7 million annually, I think is what we've calculated out, and 1.7 against a $170 million budget annually
Right.
is, I mean, it's very insignificant in the total budget amount, but it would help, no doubt, and I think we need to look at every revenue stream that's available to us, and I think this is one that is available to us, and I do think it would be advantageous to us almost to implement it on July 1st as opposed to March 1st, and I know that's going to cost us $500,000. Is that right?
Something like that.
Would be, yeah, it would be the estimate.
Roughly 500,000
Yeah.
between now and July 1. Instead of implementing it on March,
I think it's
go to July 1. That gives them a little more time to prepare for it. Now, I don't know how far out they projected their room rentals, but I think if we give them till July 1, being in January, we're giving them basically a half a year to prepare for it, and it would align better probably with the city's budget overall too, as far as an implementation date. So
Gives us a good.
just on the chance that it may pass, or it may, or may vote on it, I would like to go ahead and make an amendment motion to change the implementation date till July 1st.
And just one comment. So we were projecting that the 2018 revenue would be, the 2019 revenue would be $500,000 for the total year.
That would be for until the end of
This year.
June of this year.
Right, additional.
This budget year. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a motion, right?
Yeah, you need a second.
So we're just voting on changing the date of what the collection will be.
Right.
Do we need a?
You need a second on Mr. Smotherman's
changing the
motion
date,
on changing the date.
Second.
All right, we have a motion, second.
This is to amend the date.
This is for the
Just-
amendment.
just the amendment.
Change
Just
the
the
date.
amendment.
Okay, Ms. Wright, will call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
So I'm going to make a general comment too. And I mentioned this in our workshop that we had, and I appreciate the ideas that come up related to any additional revenue source. We talked about the impact fees as well, and we've talked some about property taxes, and I know we have to talk about all those things. But, I'm not an expert in the hotelier business, and I don't want to pass judgment on what $2 or $3 would do to the economics of that business. But I do think I have heard that most of the people that, while they would not, those business owners would obviously not prefer to have that tax. They would prefer to have it set aside for economic development. And what's interesting about that is, I probably struggle with that more than I struggle with the actual tax, simply because knowing we have lagging sales tax numbers, I have a concern about that. Carving out those dollars specifically for tourism, economic development, while I support that totally, the timing of that doesn't feel great when I know we're staring at a shortfall from a revenue standpoint. So for me, I would have a hard time supporting it now without knowing how we're going to fix the rest of the problem. And to me, that's an issue because as it is, there are several things that we're going to be talking about to create additional revenue. I'd like this to be all part of one discussion. And I think if we carve it out, make the decision to do that, we're taking this off the table so that when we come back to this discussion, we're limiting our options. Just a general comment.
Would it be essentially that these monies would go into a fund that we're already pulling from, i.e. Parks and Rec, or the funds that were given to the CVB or whatever? Would it be that they go there and we're just basically not having to use other tax revenues to fill that, to fund that piece?
Right. Well, all the money.
We do say, is it extra money, or is it just extra money we're taxing and then extra money we're giving away? I think that's kind of what, I think if the solution is it's gonna save us $1.7 million on our budget, or add $1.7 million to the budget, however you want to look at it.
Right. Well, the money would go to the general fund. Part of it is specifically allocated to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So if the tax increases,
18%.
it'd be 15%
And it's cutting in half if we were to double.
Well, it's 30% now, so it would be 15.
15 is the half.
Yeah, the net would be the
it's gonna
same.
be
Net's the
Right.
same.
So we're not giving it away.
So, and then the remaining money would be in the general fund, and what we would do is to allocate that specifically to projects.
We're not giving away any more
The
money.
additional is all staying.
Right, it's
They
all
were
going
getting
to the
Right.
34 of the original part, so when you double it, they get 15. So they're going to be made whole, but they're not going to get extra from the increase.
That stays in the general
They're,
fund.
Right,
they're,
that stays
they're
with the
really
general fund.
froze at what they're getting
Right.
now.
Right.
So they're
They'll be whole.
So when we say that we would use some of that money for things like updating the park or whatever, really that's money going in the general fund. It's not specifically earmarked. It's going to Parks and Rec, or it's going to CVB, or it's going to anything like that. It's just kind of saying, hey, look, we have a commitment we know we're going to be making. This is revenue that's going to go to the general fund. We're going to be spending a lot more than this revenue on that type of stuff, so it
Right.
just nets out.
Yeah, I mean, the plan would be that we would continue to come to council with ideas on economic development that would increase tourism, and that this money would help offset some of those costs. It's hard to say specifically we go there because it's going to be a council decision as to whether or not we want to do certain things.
And I think the thing, if you look, you have to look at right now, if you look at what our total revenue, which I think we talked about in our workshop, is $1 million is what we get off of the hotel motel tax right now. Is that
$1.7
about
million.
right?
About $1.7 million.
Because it's going to double.
But what was Ms.
mean
Tucker, I
the
think?
net?
The net. Yeah, I'm not worried about the.
Oh, after.
Yeah, I mean, what we truly get, I think it was $1 million is what because we're going from $1 million to 2.5 with the increase, because we're not giving any of the rest of that money away. So what my thought is, when you look at just solely Spring Fling, the amount of baseball, soccer tournaments that come into the city of Murfreesboro, and we're figuring that it costs us $28,000 per field to be able to maintain one field, not counting the Parks and Recreation staff that we have that help maintain those. When you look at, that we've talked about Spring Fling, but you look at all those other things, I mean, we're not getting off the hotel motel tax right now the amount that we spend on a yearly basis to help bring all of that revenue in already. So, I mean, I could make the argument that, Madeline is right. The chamber did copyright that we're the state chamber. I forget what it's called, sports capital of Tennessee. But when you look at where all of those events are held, they're all pretty much held in Murfreesboro, and they're all pretty much held on city-owned complexes. So that's if you look, it's hard to pull out debt service that we've spent on all of those things that we're.
Here's where the rubber hits the road, I think, on what Mr. Martin's talking about is, for the last few years, I mean, look, this we're starting the budget process right now, and so, I'm going to be on board with this, but to me, the rubber's going to hit the road in the budget process, not necessarily right now. And so my point's going to be, just like my point has been for the last 5 years, we need to get the budget where the revenues match up to the expenses, all right? So if we end up, if we budgeted last year for a $4 million general fund spend, I don't remember the number, but for example, if we were at $4 million last year, the number needs to at least be 2.3 this year as we move towards a zero, because I think, decided it was going to take a couple of years to get there based on things that were going on with road projects, et cetera, and schools and all that kind of stuff. I just don't want, if it was 4 last year, we raise an additional 1.7 and the number's still 4 for our next budget, that's a problem for me. So just,
Well, and I may be misunderstanding. So is the additional revenue not being carved out for economic development, which means it's additional expense?
we already have the expense.
That expense already exists and it's fixed. It's not going to change.
Yeah, but I think this is what I'd recommend, if we push this to July 1st, I would think we have an idea. I don't want to link this to the soccer facility, but we already, we've got significant expenditures that probably need to be made out there regardless right now of whether there's a soccer facility coming or not. There's
$75,000 a field already.
some
Sure.
some issues, but before there's any one that comes to talk about, you know, an MTSU project or those things, we really need to see where we are this time next year after we've gone through a year of the hotel motel tax in place. And then that gives us a benchmark to say, well, yeah, it went up from 1 million to 2 million. It didn't go up to 2.5. And that way that gives us an idea to be able to have a metric that we can work off of.
One of the points that I was going to make, I mean, you know, first of all, if we do this July 1st, to your point, if we vote on it tonight and we make it a July 1st, there's still a lot of time that if we get through the budget process and it's not going to happen like we want it to happen, you know, we can change it. And I was going to make the point earlier, I mean, it's hard, but, you know, look, I got faith in this council that, to Kurt's point, look, if we get into this thing for a year or two and we're losing room nights hand over fist and nobody's staying in the hotels and they're all empty, we can change it back. It's not like it's a permanent deal forever and ever. I mean, you know, this is, I said earlier, I mean, I think we could match up to the county. I mean, that puts us in a position to work with the county. We're even. If we need to pull back, we ought to all come together and pull back if that happens, you know. I'd do it.
And I agree with that totally. The challenge will be, if that's the case, it probably means the revenue shortfall is increasing on our end, so there's more pressure if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
But I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, sometimes it's like looking at Japanese, you're trying to understand it's all, but I will say, and this is in all due respect, we had a very animated conversation 2 years ago when the hotel motel tax got raised for fire service in the county. And, you know, and that's the one thing I want to make sure that our hotel, you know, the 5 cents or the 5% that you're paying right now, I think we're all partners with the county, but, you know, I think what we want to really make sure that we're looking at is how that we're not talking about raising the hotel motel tax to be able to buy more police cars and buy more fire trucks. We're looking to say, how can we get more room nights, which in turn brings sales tax revenue, which in turn helps restaurants, which in turn helps gas stations. That's what we're trying to figure out. We're not really saying, let's just get more money to the city coffers. We're trying to make sure that we do that. I mean, our Parks and Recreation budget right now, I think we're at 15 million. Is that right, Nate? Yeah. So, you know, we're spending 10% of our budget a year, or a little less than that, on Parks and Rec, which is solely to try to bring those opportunities. So, you got your Vanderbilt tile. You're smart. You can. I'll make a motion. We pass this.
Well,
July 1st.
Yeah, we've already made the amendment. I think that we're either going to be for this or we're against it. And I think that, you know, there's honestly probably a few people watching tonight that are saying, I wish there were less people in Murfreesboro and less traffic on our roadways. So it may work out for them if it all goes kapoosh.
I don't think so.
But I don't think it will. I don't think we'll see a reduction. I mean, we look at on the Planning Commission, the number of rooms that are currently under construction, and I'm sure that those people have projected that there's going to be an increased population in Murfreesboro and more growth, and I think that it's, you know, and that means more people in Murfreesboro, and more people means generally more people coming to visit people in Murfreesboro. So I think that I really don't think that we'll see a stop in the amount of rooms being constructed even. So I'll make the motion that we approve as presented with the amendment.
And I'll second it then.
And we are saying if we see a change, that we'll have no problem going back and reversing.
If we can attribute the change to that, I mean, you know, look, we just got to be open about it as far as I'm concerned. If it looks apparent for some reason, then I'm open to that. So.
All right, Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Abstain.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to item 15 to adopt Resolution 19R01 designating vendor names for IT security systems, confidential information technology. Mr. Lilly.
Good evening, Mayor McFarland, Vice Mayor Skels Harris, and the members of City Council. The identity of vendors that provide information security software used to protect electronic information processing systems, telecommunications, and other communication systems, data storage systems, government employee information, or citizen information contains proprietary information that is used to protect city and citizen information. Sharing these vendor names and/or their software details potentially puts the integrity of the software's ability to protect our data at a higher risk. It's the recommendation of the Information Technology Department that the Council adopt Resolution 19R01 designating vendor names for IT security systems to be classified as confidential. There are no costs associated with this resolution. And I open for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Lilly?
If not, I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Lilly. All right, we'll move into land use matters. We have a plan of services, annexation, and zoning for approximately 2.37 acres located along Manson Pike, Old Manson Pike, Manson Court, Lyle McDonald Court, Interstate 840, and Blackman Road. Mr. Blomley.
Good evening, Mayor McFarland and members of council. Our first item under land use matters tonight is somewhat of a cleanup annexation from last year when we annexed a number of parcels that were in the vicinity of the city-owned property at the corner of Burnt Knob Road and Blackman Road. There was a 10-foot strip that was left in the unincorporated county, and if you follow my yellow line here, you can see it. Another 10-foot strip there. So all of what I've highlighted right there is the 10-foot strip that was left in the county to keep from totally encircling parcels that were to remain in the unincorporated county. Since that time, as we have discussed before, our legal department has opined that due to changes in state law, it is no longer necessary to reserve these 10-foot strips of unincorporated county to keep the areas of unincorporated county from being encircled by the city limits. In addition, there is an area here of right-of-way of Old Manson Pike and Manson Pike that we have included in this annexation study and plan of services. I will note that there is a revised map that I'm putting on the screen, and there are two chief differences in this map. We discovered recently that the county road board has abandoned a portion of the Old Manson Pike right-of-way, and because of the scale of this map, it's a little bit difficult to see, but it is right in that area right there. It's a small portion of the property, or of Old Manson Pike, that has been abandoned and will be transferred to the adjacent property owner. So we have removed that from the study area, and also the parcel right there was shown incorrectly. There was some busts in the property lines in the tax maps, and our GIS department, in conjunction with the property assessor's office, has corrected those property lines, and the map before you here has been corrected to show the correct property lines and to remove that right-of-way that has been abandoned by the Rutherford County Road Board. The total study area for this annexation is 2.37 acres. It's primarily right-of-way. There is a 10-foot strip of private property that is part of Mr. McDonald's tract that we annexed simultaneously with the 120 acres owned by the city. There'll be a zoning request on that, or a zoning public hearing on that item after we conclude the annexation. We are still working with the county on getting consent to annex the rights of way that are included in this study area. So what we would recommend that you do is, if the council desires to do so, to go ahead and pass the annexation and the plan of services. That would be staff's recommendation after holding the public hearing. And then if you choose to to approve the zoning, which I will elaborate on further before the next public hearing, we would delay second and final reading of the zoning until such time as we were able to secure all of the necessary approvals from the county that we needed to confirm that they have consented to the annexation of their rights-of-way. With regards to the plan of services, it will be a relatively easy annexation to effect. As I mentioned, it's a 10-foot strip of land, which is in the midst of mostly city limits anyway. I'll be happy to answer any questions before or after the public hearing. The next two items on the agenda will be, after the public hearing, will be for the adoption of the plan of services resolution and the annexation resolution. And any approval on both should be subject to the revised map that I've presented to you with today.
All right, any questions for Mr. Balmy? All right, thank you, Mr. Balmy. We'll need to conduct a public hearing for the plan of services and the annexation. Anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We'll consider Resolution 18R PS 68 to adopt a plan of services.
So moved.
All right, we'll now consider Resolution 18RA 68 to adopt the annexation.
We have a second.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
We better second it and vote on it.
Second.
Second.
Second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels
I was just going
Harris.
to do it all at one
Aye.
time.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Way.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Now we'll consider Resolution RA 68 to adopt the annexation. Is there a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Ms. Wright.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Way.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll now need to conduct a public hearing to zone approximately 2.37 acres CH.
Thank you, Mayor McFarland. This is the companion zoning request. And this map's a little bit easier to see because it's zoomed in a little bit more. This is for the 10-foot strip of land of Mr. McDonald's property that was annexed and zoned commercial highway last year. Totals about half an acre. The balance of his property is commercial highway. This would essentially tie up the loose end that remained on his property when it was annexed and zoned commercial highway. This will simplify things when we receive development plans on the property, as the entire parcel will be in one jurisdiction and the entire parcel will be zoned commercial highway. The Planning Commission conducted a public hearing on this matter and recommended approval by unanimous vote. I'll be happy to answer any questions. As I mentioned, if you do choose to approve this on first reading tonight, we'll delay second reading until such time as we feel confident about the annexation. And the annexation doesn't go into effect until the zoning ordinance goes into effect. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Hey, Matthew, just a quick question on this, and I can't find the page here, and it went by too fast up there. But I remember there was part of this property, if I do remember right, that was commercial highway, and then there was commercial fringe around the edge. This is on the commercial highway side, so it's buttoned up all to commercial highway, or are we cutting off any fringe?
Yeah, so we're not changing any of the commercial fringe. You see down here in the corner, there's the commercial fringe right there. Our objective, and when we talked to the developer before he made his application, was to create somewhat of a buffer adjacent to the residential uses where Berkshire is across Blackman Road, and so the commercial fringe is directly adjacent to Berkshire. Here we have Mr. McDonald's parcel across the street that's zoned CH. So this 10-foot strip actually is adjacent to CH zoning and not adjacent to any other residential uses.
All right, that's where I got confused, because I think there's commercial fringe that would be kind of on the east of his airstrip area up there, the top
Yes, sir.
one.
Yeah, you can see it starting right there, and I believe it goes
up to the north back there. Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I thought I remembered that, and I was when it said the east border, I was I was putting it with that east border. All right.
Sure, sure.
Okay, thanks.
I'm just thankful for the opportunity to use the telestrator some more.
Yeah. Boom. Like old Madden. So you take that, Rick, eastern border.
All right, we need to hold a public hearing. Matthew, that telestrator will probably come in handy in Auburn this year. Or Purdue, one of the other. All right, anyone wishing to speak for or against, please come to the podium. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. We'll consider ordinance 18 OZ 68.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet. Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move into ordinance 18057, amending planned residential district for approximately 33.3 acres in the General's Landing PRD, West Thompson Lane. Planning Department is the applicant.
Thank you, Mayor McFarland. This is an item that came before you on November 1st for public hearing. Mr. Brian Burns, the developer of the General's Landing subdivision, which consists of single-family detached homes and single-family attached townhouses, came before you requesting an amendment to his PRD zoning to allow the townhouses in the development to have to be able to use city-provided solid waste services. In the original plan, I should say the currently approved plan, you'll recall that the plan made provisions for a compactor at the entrance to the development, and the townhouses were to use the compactor, and the single-family homes would be using city solid waste services. After the public hearing, there was significant discussion by the City Council about providing city solid waste services to this development and to townhouses in general. Since that time, the City Council has had a work session on solid waste, and Mr. Darren Gore, our Assistant City Manager, has done quite a bit of research and work on whether or not to provide city solid waste services for townhomes, single-family attached uses. He's actually come up with a set of design criteria that we hope to adopt and utilize in the future to make it easier and more predictable for developers and the city staff to know when city solid waste service is appropriate. Included in the agenda packet is a memo from Mr. Gore outlining the conditions in which he feels that under which city solid waste service would be appropriate for this development. Mr. Gore states that the solid waste director recommends that we provide curbside solid waste collection service for General's Landing prior to Caroline Farms being developed under the following conditions. And Caroline Farms is the single-family neighborhood directly to the east of the subject development. Number one, all solid waste carts would have to be purchased by the developer. And number two, solid waste collection for units Q1 through Q5 be handled in one of two ways. And Q1 and Q5, I'll show you those units right now. There are these units here, which until such time as the connection to Caroline Farms is made, it would be difficult for solid waste vehicles to service those units. So solid waste collection for these units must be handled in one of these two ways. Their construction is delayed until road connectivity occurs to Caroline Farms, or a temporary turnaround is provided that city solid waste vehicles could use. So with that being said, it would be staff's recommendation that this amendment be approved on first reading tonight. No public hearing is necessary, as you did conduct a public hearing on this matter on November the 1st. Mr. Clyde Roundtree is here representing Mr. Burns if you have any questions for him. And Mr. Darren Gore, our Assistant City Manager of Utility Enterprises, is here, who did all of the legwork on our proposed design criteria for solid waste, is here if you have any questions for him.
Thank you for your work on this, Mr. Gore. I like how the page that shows how that they go through and pick up the trash. That is beneficial to be able for us to get a better idea. I'm sure the planning commissioners like that too.
A video would have been better, but whatever.
All right, any questions?
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Mr. Palmley. All right, we have rezoning approximately 3.65 acres located along Halls Hill Pike to CL, RM16, and CF.
Thank you, Mayor McFarland. Our next public hearing is to rezone two separate lots along the north side of Halls Hill Pike. One lot in the orange color is currently zoned CL, and the lot in the blue color is zoned RM16. The applicant is requesting to rezone both of these lots to commercial fringe. The commercial local zone parcel consists of a kind of a multi-use commercial development that has a mostly vacant commercial strip center, a car wash that I believe is out of service, and an existing self-storage facility. The buyers of this property wish to convert the whole development to self-storage and then also expand the self-storage onto the property that is currently zoned RM16 in the blue color. The RM16 zone, of course, will not permit self-storage development, so that he is requesting to rezone that property from RM16 to CF, commercial fringe, which permits self-service storage uses by special use permit from the Board of Zoning Appeals. The commercial local zone does permit self-storage facilities. However, commercial local is somewhat of an outdated zone. We don't generally recommend that developers rezone property to commercial local. So when we had an opportunity to look at rezoning the property that is zoned RM16 to commercial fringe, we recommended as staff to the developer to include the property that's zoned commercial local as well, so that both lots, and they'll be joined together, both lots will be zoned commercial fringe. The surrounding properties are primarily residential in nature. There's an apartment complex to the north and to the and further to the west, and there's a Dollar General right on the corner of Journey Drive and Halls Hill Pike. It is zoned commercial fringe as well, so the zoning is consistent with the existing commercial fringe zone on the property. The future land use map of the 2035 plan actually mirrored the existing zoning, so I don't think it really envisioned how this would develop other than what it was originally zoned for. So the 2035 plan recommends that the property that's already zoned RM16 be developed as multifamily, and it recommends the property that's already zoned commercial local be developed as general commercial. So the City Council will need to determine if this is an appropriate instance to deviate from the future land use map of the comprehensive plan and rezone both properties to commercial fringe. Planning Commission took this matter up and held a public hearing on November the 7th and voted unanimously by a vote of 6-0 to recommend approval of this rezoning request. I'll be happy to answer any questions either before or after the public hearing.
Any questions for Mr. Palmley? All right, seeing none, we'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against for this rezoning request, please come to the podium. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and we'll consider on first reading ordinance 18OZ67.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to annexation progress reports.
Mr. Blumley, can I mention something? This is a little off topic, but it's on topic. On our packets that you guys prepared for us, something that might be helpful because we can scroll in and out on this is a satellite view.
Certainly.
As a picture instead of just all the text type views that we get.
Sure.
I hate to add more work to you, but if that's easy enough for you, just click on the satellite layer and plug one of those in there. That might help us because I kind of have to go to my Google Maps and a lot of times like to look at the actual what's actually there.
Yes, sir. We can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
We can absolutely do that.
Yeah. And that
That's
would be
something that
very
would help.
helpful because we may see RM16 that's just an empty lot or maybe completely developed out, and it would be very helpful to us, I think. So
Certainly.
Good
That's
suggestion.
no problem. We'll be happy to do that. Mayor McFarland and Council, this is the fourth of our 4 groupings of annexation progress reports. We've been playing catch up, as you know, and so we are happy to bring this 4th grouping to you. I have to once again thank Amelia Kerr and Austin Cooper on our staff for doing the lion's share of the work on these annexation progress reports. It was quite a task to get caught up with about 4 or 5 years of progress reports. At any rate, I'll read the short standard spiel. Public Chapter 1101 of 1998, enacted by the General Assembly, requires that 6 months after the effective date of an annexation and annually thereafter, until services have been extended according to such plan, a municipality must publish in a newspaper of general circulation a progress report of the extension of services and any changes proposed therein. These annexation ordinances, except for one, have all been effective for 1 year, and the last one has been effective for almost 1 year. And to date, all services have been extended according to such plans of services. And we would recommend that you conduct a public hearing on this grouping of annexation progress reports, and then vote to approve the annexation progress reports. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
All right, any questions? All right, we'll need to conduct a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak for or against these annexation reports, please come to the podium. All right, seeing none, we'll close the public hearing and consider a motion for passage of the annexation progress reports.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet. Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Item 20 has been withdrawn. We'll move to purchase of a new 2019 Ford F-250 regular cab 4x2 truck.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. I'm here tonight to propose the purchase of a 2019 F-250 utility bed truck under the state contract with Ford of Murfreesboro as a replacement vehicle. The staff recommends the purchase of the replacement utility truck because the current vehicle has maintenance issues that, if fixed, would exceed the value of the vehicle. The funds are from the 2018 CIP budget, and the general government building was allotted $40,000 for the purchase. By using the state contract, we were able to procure the utility bed truck for $34,349, saving the city over $5,500. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
All right, any question for Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones, who you got with you tonight?
My youngin'.
What's his name?
Murray.
Murray. Glad you're here.
Second.
All right, motion and a second.
I missed that. Who made the motion in second?
Motion.
Bill made the motion. Murray, you looking for a job? Smart boy.
Mike could keep
Smart
up.
boy.
I'm working for you.
Right. Motion and a second.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you. All right, we'll move into master service agreement with Wiser Consultants. Mr. Griffith.
Thank you, Mayor, and members of the City Council. The first item I have tonight is it has 2 tasks, Task 1 and 2. Task 1 is regarding the data collection and assist in self-assessment to develop an ADA transition plan that will comply with the ADA Act of 1990. On December 17th of 2017, City Council passed a resolution approving and authorizing transmittal of a letter to TDOT describing the city's efforts toward the development of an ADA transition plan for city rights-of-way and other transportation facilities. Including this resolution is the city commitment to complete the ADA transition plan by December of 2019. The City of Murfreesboro issued a request for proposals last year, and 3 firms were shortlisted with the final award recommended to Wiser Consultants. The transition plan includes completing an inventory and current condition or state of primarily our handicap and driveway ramps within our right-of-way, and developing a game plan to bring them to current standards. Task 2 of this scope includes to collect city regulatory and warning signs as well as storm drainage features within the 218 miles of mobile LiDAR collection. This will improve our inventory on our GIS maps. The total for the ADA transition plan is $370,000, and for sign and drainage inventory is $72,000. I would like to correct, both these projects will be funded from the state street aid, but will include both the FY 2019 and FY 2020. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Chris, who currently has the contract?
This is actually a new contract. It's just first time that we've actually done this.
Who's doing the ADA work right now, as far as sidewalk adjustments and stuff that are taking place?
Our annual concrete contractors, Rollins Excavation, is currently has that. That is up for renewal this year. So this is just for the actual inventory, and then they will develop a plan for the actual construction improvements of the items, and that'll take place by our concrete contractor.
And I'm wondering from your presentation, I apologize, but would you have them look at Thompson Lane and Memorial right now? We've got a project out there where they've taken the sidewalk up right next to the Walgreens, I guess it is. And it seems like it's been 2 months that it's been torn up, and not just that one little section of sidewalk hadn't been replaced, which I don't think is very helpful to the people with special needs trying to get around that corner.
I would agree with you. I'm not sure that's a state route. They may actually been completed by the state, but I'll find out and have them complete that.
All right, any questions for Mr. Griffith?
For no questions or comments, I move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second. Ms. Wrightfield, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll now move into Kingdom Drive roadway improvements. Mr. Griffith.
Unfortunately, this is for a change order. It is to complete the project. Disguised that on you. Didn't leave it in the title. This is approval of a change order with Bell Construction in the amount of $40,933. The pedestrian rail that was originally bid for that project does meet pedestrian standards, but doesn't meet AASHTO standards in case of a vehicular collision. So we asked for an upgrade on that. As I mentioned, that's to increase the contract by $40,933 to a total of $2,607,517. Again, just a correction on the city's portion of the funding. That would actually be from the 2016 and 2018 bond issue. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions?
I guess this is something we need to do. If I vote for this, will you give me a drop dead date of when Middle Tennessee Boulevard will be completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are you going?
Didn't we say December 15th? You got 11 months.
Exactly.
He'll let you know at the ribbon cutting.
There you go. Move for approval.
Second.
Motion is second.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance. Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet. Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. We'll now move to Southwest Elementary School roadway and utilities phase 1, awarding the contract.
Yes, this is for the roads and utilities to serve our new Southwest Elementary School. I think it's now officially named Salem Elementary School. The purpose of this project will be to provide access and utilities from St. Andrews and Veterans Parkway to the new school. Staff advertised the contract and we received 3 bids on January 3rd of this year. A low bid in the amount of $1,699,930 was submitted by Genco Construction. We'll add that Genco has done work in the area, and we believe that they'll perform adequately on this project. The funding source of this project will come from a future bond issue and it's included with the elementary school. Just one other thing to add, our latest estimate for this project was $1.9 million, so came in a couple $100,000 under budget, which we were very pleased about. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions?
I move for approval.
I'll definitely second that one. It's saving us some money there.
You'll come back before.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Wright?
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet. Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, we have no board and commission appointments. We have several beer permits.
We do, Mayor. We've got 2 Dollar Generals that are opening up at 2 different locations, one on Florence Road and one on Halls Hill Pike. Both of those applications have met our requirements except for finishing up their building codes inspections. So if you approve those tonight, we would not issue those permits until they have met all of the requirements. We also have a couple of special event permits for Kamari House. One event is on February 9th and the other event is on October 18th. And those applications are also in order. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Ms. Wright, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Any statements to be paid?
No, Mayor.
Any other business?
We have one item. Mr. Huddleston will present it.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. We do have one item under the community development banner with the retirement of John Callow. We need this body to designate an authorized representative to sign and submit grant applications to state and federal agencies on behalf of the city. We've laid out a council communication recommending that you authorize Patty Pope to be that designated representative and that she be able to submit the applications to state and federal agencies on behalf of the city of Murfreesboro and to sign those electronically in any grant applications that we do make come back through this body for approval and contract administration once they're awarded to the city. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
So moved.
Motion and second.
Vice Mayor Skels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. LaLance.
Aye.
Mr. Martin.
Aye.
Mr. Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Smotherman.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
Mayor, real quickly, with the short week next week, we aren't planning to have a council meeting, and we don't have any items, so our next meeting would be January the 31st.
Okay. All right, see no other business?
I have a
Yes, ma'am.
comment.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to clear up something that was in the paper that I've been getting a couple of comments on, that I was for increasing taxes. I want to make it clear that I am for exhausting all revenue before we go to increasing taxes. I just wanted to clarify that. I wasn't just, hey, let's increase taxes. I've been getting a couple of calls on that, so I just wanted to clarify that up, that once we have exhausted everything we can, we may have to consider it, but it's not true that I said I want to increase taxes. I just wanted to clarify that up.
All right. Seeing none, we will stand adjourned.